Well, it went straight. I still kind of shot put it a little bit, but I didn't embarrass myself too badly. And more importantly, we raised raised awareness and some money for the Vancouver Canadians Foundation. Thanks for asking, Riaz, and good morning to everyone. It's fall, not really according to the calendar, but it's not too early to plan for your fall garden, including grasses for your fall garden. Stay with us. We're here at Phoenix Perennials this morning. Hey, and good morning to you. Thanks very much, Riaz. And when I think grass, I think of, the kind that you're supposed to mow, Gary. This is actually something a little different for people for their fall garden.
Yeah, we would call these ornamental grasses, and they really come into their own at this time of year. They're up, they've got this great texture, they've got amazing colors, and they're all coming into flower. And they don't have big, colorful flowers, but they have these really neat kind of textural flowers. They also blow in the wind, and they catch the dew at this time of year, which is quite pretty. So these ones on this end, these are maiden grasses or miscanthus, and these are great for the garden, or some of these dwarf ones are really good for pots.
So how are you taking care of the grass? Obviously, like I said, you're not mowing it necessarily. No. Do you still have to fertilize it? Do you have to water it? Do you treat it just like a flower, or just like any other plant?
Your other plants that you would in your garden beds or your containers. So maiden grasses are great for this time of year. I really love these little fountain grasses. They have these cute little kind of foxtail-like flowers at this time of year.
Beautiful.
This one's called Little Bunny. I guess because it maybe looks like little bunny tails on the end. And this one's a great one for this time of year as well. This is called Panicum, and its cultivar name is Northwind. And it's really vertical. You can see it's kind of bluish. It's like a big blue exclamation point in the garden.
So as far as taking care of it, we know you have to treat it like a regular plant. Do you have to sometimes sort of take off the dead, what do you call it, deadhead or something like that? What do you do when you do with the plants and the buds and the flowers?
Well, what I was doing in the teas was just cleaning up a little bit. Plants will drop lower leaves in time because the big the leaves on top take over for them. So leaves that are lower down might turn a little bit yellow. You could clean them up a little bit, but generally grasses are super easy in the garden, don't require much maintenance at all. Well,
you can learn about all things fall grasses coming up on September 14th here at Phoenix Perennials. Coming up in the next segment, Riaz, we are talking winter containers. And repeat after me, this is like the mantra for this Monday morning. Thrill, fill, and spill. What does it all mean? Well, we'll tell you. We're talking winter container gardening up next. Yeah, and I'm thinking it's almost a little bit like fashion, Gary. We're always looking ahead, and I can't believe we're talking, winter container gardening?
Well, it's good to plan ahead, right? It's good to plan ahead. And this is kind of fast. We're dolling up our own space with tchotchkes and things like necklaces,
exactly. So we're talking about anything kind of cold weather is what we're
so really what we're talking, we say winter containers to die for this workshop that's coming up, but really this is great for year-round interest. These are all evergreen plants that look good 365 days a year.
So we've got our container ready to go. We're going to start to place, and maybe let's start with the first one, and let's talk about the concept of thrill, fill, and spill.
Thrill, fill, and spill. So you need your vertical plants. That's your exclamation point, your thrill, your vertical in the middle, and you could this little spruce, this little blue spruce, is a bit of an exclamation point as well. But then, once we get our tall exclamation points, we start to go with the fills. So the fills fill in the area just above the pot to make it look nice and full. And so this little euphorbia would also be a fill. And then this little sage would also be a nice little fill.
So when we're talking spill, though,
now for spill we want something that's going to go over the edge of the pot.
That will kind of hang over.
So these little guys that we put in, these are going to, as they grow, hang over the pot a little bit, especially this guy. So and that's going to soften the edge of the pot.
So when you're sort of looking at the whole thing, you're looking at something that starts tall and works its way, and that's kind of the perfect way to plan. And of course, we didn't actually put it into the dirt yet.
No, so this is exactly what people should do when they're planting their pot. Mock it up first,
and then
place them in there, make sure they work, and you can take them out of the pots and plant them. Give it a little, stir it in, and then you have an amazing container that's going to look 5 days a year, but especially in the winter when you need that inspiration.
There you go, Thor. Again, that workshop happening on the 27th here at Phoenix Perennials. I'm just finally getting into the West Wing. Talk about being behind. But we are definitely talking about something exciting coming up next here at Phoenix Perennials. What exactly is an heirloom tomato, and why are they so special? We'll be right back. Talking about heirloom tomatoes, and never has a tomato that's so old look so good.
Yeah, there's some heirloom tomatoes. They are old plant. They're old cultivars that have been around for a really long time. Some of at least 50 years is the definition, but some heirloom tomatoes have been passed down through companies or regions or families over hundreds of years.
So you have some great varieties here.
Yeah, so this is a whole mix of mostly heirloom tomatoes. There's a few kind of cool moderns that fit into that definition of heirloom. This one's really fun. That's a great example of an heirloom. This is called yellow pear, and it arose in the 1700s in Europe and was grown in Fort Vancouver when the Hudson's Bay Company still controlled the Pacific Northwest, grown in 1825 in the gardens at Fort Vancouver.
Very cool. You've got some other varieties here, and we should point out too that it's sort of we're not really growing heirloom tomatoes now. Now you're enjoying them. So what other kinds do we have?
Well, these ones are really fun. So these ones are actually moderns. They're called indigos, and they have those great purple colors on the top. And this is also an indigo as well, filled with anthocyanins, so very healthy for us.
I don't even know
good
what that means. Anthocyan. What is that?
Those are the pigments that give us those colors, but they're actually very healthy for us. They're kind of like all those little plant chemicals and plant things that are good for the human body,
so would
like
we be looking
lycopenes, for instance.
At different flavors for different types of tomatoes? Okay.
Exactly. So the yellow pears are just going to be really sweet, and then the cherries, again, they're going to be really sweet. When you get into the indigos, you're going to be getting more depth of flavor, and when you get into things like beefsteaks, you're going to be getting umami.
Ooh, very
umami
nice.
Is that savory, that nice savory character.
Yum, yum, yum. We love them, Riaz, and they've got an heirloom tomato workshop coming up. You can check out Phoenix Perennials website for more details. We got lots more coming up on BT from here in Richmond. We're talking color here at Phoenix Perennials. In fact, it's late summer and fall color coming up next. We'll be right back, live from Richmond. Yeah, and we're into late summer, getting into fall, Gary, and our plants will adjust as well. What kinds of things should we be looking at for our garden for this time of year now?
In terms of color? Well, we were talking about winter containers before, but the summer's not over yet, and there's tons of color that we could have in our gardens right now, so we don't have to give up on summer.
And we don't have to necessarily do, although we can do those typical fall colors, the golds, the burgundy type of flowers, the yellows, but you actually have some great options here today.
Yeah, we'll have all those colors coming in, but there's lots of pinks available too, lots of purples. If we were to do, we have a whole bunch of different things here, but if we were to do 3 things that people should really have in their gardens right now for fall color, one of them definitely would be the stone crops. These are the sedums. They're succulent, they're easy to grow, and they bloom all through August, September, October.
So succulents are typically great for anybody that thinks like me, that thinks I can kill, bamboo, right? It's a little bit easier to handle. What else do we have here?
We should also include Japanese anemones in our garden. So these are beautiful pinks and whites mostly in these groups, and these are short new dwarf ones, but they're also tall ones that grow as tall as us.
Okay.
So there's kind of Japanese anemones for every situation.
So lots of different variety based on size as well. And then our third,
you know what? The hydrangeas have already been blooming through July and August, but the hydrangeas are still going to be popping out some more flowers into the fall. So I would say hydrangeas are still a great plant for this time of year.
So for anyone at home that, sort of has their garden continues to grow, what about this time of year do they need to be concerned with, or what do they need to do special for this time of year with respect to their garden?
I mean, just one of the main things, the plants are keeping track of the seasons as well. But one thing, no more fertilizing.
Okay.
So no more fertilizing of plants in garden beds or in pots.
Why?
If we fertilize them, plants start pumping out lots of lush new growth. We don't want that as the frosts start coming in a couple months. We want sturdy, strong growth that plants are putting on for the winter,
right,
and nothing lush.
All right, well, lots of great tips here at Phoenix Perennials, of course, with that loud plane that is always happening when we come here as we wrap up this segment. More details, Riaz, on all the courses they offer. People can check out their website. Thanks for having us out here this morning,
Great.
Garrett.
It was great. Thanks.